we'll have to see. But let's get into the draft here and see whether DRX can pick up this one or whether Fredit Brion's blue shell power is going to come out swinging. They will be on the blue side. They selected it. Of course, we did see that DRX have a decent red side win rate, but we'll see what Fredit Brion have in mind here, as the Lucian is going to be the first ban on blue side, which I think is kind of interesting.
Really is. Does lend itself to some weird picks. Excuse me.
Ooh. All right, he's taking a drink. We're going to be okay. Yeah. There's a frog. It's a frog. Surprise frog. This is what happens when we're casting remotely. Sometimes frogs get into your room, and then they get into your throat, and then it's just a bad time. Aphelios is going to be banned here as Talia is taken off the board on the blue side. Was a pick for Damwon Kier that was very, very powerful that can be flexed around, but Aphelios Zeri, pretty standard stuff on DRX's side of things.
Yeah, did it just feel like a first pick of an 80 carry coming through here for Fredit Brion? And that B1 Slash, I'm still recovering, but I'll get there.
Yeah, no. You got this. You got this. Power through.
With the Lucian and the Callista bans that now are locked in and set. So, do see the Corki ban, and this might just be Lava having an opportunity to pick up the Sylas first pick. Yeah. And that's exactly what's going to get locked in. So, denies a potential follow-up Gnar here for DRX. Really strong start to the draft here for DRX. A lot of 80 carries are removed. So I'm curious to see where Hen is going to end up here, because he is definitely the weaker of these two players when the pools get thinned out. Like the Poppy response here from DRX, going to give a lot of power to that bottom 2v2. It's yet unknown. Actually going to be an Ezreal locked in here for depth. So scaling 80 carry with Poppy to help defend the 2v2 regardless of matchup. Do like this response from DRX.
Yeah, DRX going pretty standard right now, but Fredit Brion can very comfortably just lock away this Gnar. They're the ones that have the Sylas themselves, so they don't need to worry about it. Feels like such a great blocker pick to so many different options. This Sylas first pick, it's only Nongshim that have fallen prey to it, as Wukong Gnar going to be taken away. So as far as the tier list is concerned, Fredit Brion certainly doing very, very well. I also like that Umpty decided that he's going to pick his Wukong, considering the fact that they were going to lock that one in next, so they don't need to switch them around too much. I value it a lot. Zeker is hovering a few champions. We'll see what he does decide to lock in, as I like the Zoe. This actually creates a kind of cool little option here for DRX as far as what their comp is going to look like. Certainly Zoe's one of the only options if you want to play more of that poke style, and suits the Ezreal quite nicely. But they do lock in the Gangplank instead, just to take away that pretty nice matchup into the Gnar that we've seen in the past.
It's really strong, obviously, into the Gnar, and it's going to be a lot of scaling. The Azir has to be taken away here. It's like, okay, we can't give Ezreal, Gangplank, and Azir of scaling with a Poppy to control the early parts of the game, so I do like that ban. As much as we don't like the Victor, I wouldn't be surprised if that is also banned away here from Fredit Brion, because right now with Zeka, you're like, alright, as long as I don't lose lane to Sylas here and don't fall far behind, we have the better comp in terms of scaling, have a lot of range damage with this Ezreal. They will take away the Rise, which is something else that works very well into the Sylas. Obviously, it's very difficult for Sylas to utilize the Realm Warp effectively unless you're ahead and have Cryo in all of your lanes, and the Rise can just wave clear the Sylas into oblivion. So I do like this ban.
It was actually what Chovy did to BDD in order to absolutely obliterate that matchup. Zeker is thinking that he'll just take his Akali into it though, and I was half expecting there to be a Yuumi lock-in here from DRX, but they don't want to give away the entirety of their bottom lane, with that being the only thing that Fredit Brion haven't shown. So instead, they will get Zeka his most comfortable champion, and he would be taking that one into the Sylas. Perfect Execution is not exactly an ultimate that you want to be giving to the Sylas. However, theoretically, Akali should be a better Akali than Sylas. So, Zyra Khan going to be locked away.
This was my fear when the 80 carry bans went super deep, because this puts a lot of pressure on Zaya Rakan to do well in this game. Like, it's going to be Henna and Delight. Delight's Rakan is very good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's one of the better ones actually in the LCK, but this means that so much of this game is going to be about the Zaya that's going to try to compete with the range of the Ezreal. Now Karma, of course, locked into this. It doesn't show on our API for some reason, but
the invisible Karma. There it goes.
Yeah. The one that we saw coming, and I like this wait here for Beryl to be like, all right, let's see what the matchup is first before we just blind lock into Yuumi.
Yeah.
It's going to be a strong lane.
It is. And also, Rakan has historically been a pretty good pick into the Yuumi as well. So being able to utilize that in order to dodge it. But Ezreal Karma is very strong in the laning phase, doesn't transition to mid and late game all that well. these days, but is something that we've seen Carrier used to great effect, things like that. And I feel like this draft is pretty well-rounded on DRX's side, even if it isn't necessarily the most cohesive as the game goes on. And I do fear for the mid lane matchup, just given the fact that Sylas is so strong into these mid lane melee matchups and will be able to get a lot of power as the game goes on.
I think this is going to be about execution here for Fred Brion, because this draft is good. It is strong. It is up the tier list. It has a lot of power early. If the Narbar can be managed well, if Sylas can steal some critical ultimates, even taking away True Shot Barrage on an early objective can be quite powerful here.
Yep.
And, I mean, you know, getting the perfect execution also going to be pretty massive. Cannon Barrage, we've seen demolish teams. If you can layer Cannon Barrage into a Cyclone here, as Fred and Brion have the opportunity to do, there's a lot of power around mid-game fights, but they need to execute them well. They need to get ahead.
Yeah, I also like the Yuumi into the Sylas for a lot of reasons as well, but they went with the Karma, which also works the same way. Let's see how it goes. We hop onto the Rift here for game number 1. I really do like that the Fred Brion fans are always so passionate, even if there aren't necessarily as many of them here at Lowell Park. It's just very heartwarming. I think the team themselves, we've quoted, you know, the power of friendship and things like that many times. This ward is, I believe, going to get a fair bit of value. As you can see, DRX all just going to walk over it. As Beryl gets the bad news, as Juhan, don't do it! Don't do it! Oh, God! Okay, that's first blood. Okay, never mind. They do manage to get the flash out and the heal. Chains are going to connect as there's the first blood. A little bit delayed. As now Kingen is flashing after Henna. He's going to go down. Umpty picks up the kill onto the Karma, though, as now Zeka's trying to get some 5-point strikes in. This is an absolute catastrophe for DRX, who are down 3 kills at 1 minute in.
Yeah, this is a massive amount of value for one ward, and then a level 1 here for Fred Brion that is favored. And when Juhan is way far away from the rest of his team at the front, like, yes, he does have Hex Flash, he's Poppy, so even if he has to flash away, it's okay. But still, I mean, no ward drop here, and so much CC at level 1 means he's basically dead. And then look at Lava just go, all right, let me just guarantee a kill here at level 1. So gonna get a massive edge here, and yeah, they do trade one back, but this is not worth it for DRX at all, and it's just so predictable. Also, flash down on Karma, flash down on Gangplank. This is, as you said, a disaster, and so much of an early lead here for Fred Brion. They needed to get a nice advantage in the early mid-game, but this is not exactly what I had in mind. 2 kills for the Sylas going into a tough matchup for the early game here for Zeka. Like, this is a disaster, and this game, I don't want to say it's over, like, it's not that bad, but it has definitely changed.
Well, Deft is still level 1, so he doesn't have his Arcane Shift. He walks into the brush, and he's real dead. He had no flash, of course. Umpty with a fantastic gank timing here. Level 2 on the Wukong, and he'll just take the free money there on the bottom side. As Juhan, I mean, this is the thing that's so rough as well, is that this is Pyoshik's best champion. Yeah. And unfortunately, like, the Poppy was left up, and it's Juhan that's going to be playing it here. Oh, man. What a disastrous situation here for DRX, as I think maybe the prediction that Valdez had is kind of coming to fruition.
Yeah, where's the, like, he saw the almanac, like, he knows the results, like, he was able to see this. He's like, yeah, you know what, they're going to pick blue side, we see that red side invade, and Fred Brion's just going to be like, everybody's invading on red side, I'm just going to predict them to defend it and win. This is a really, really nasty situation now, and like, the Ezreal here is extremely behind. You know, lost a ton of experience, lost a ton of farm, as this is just a follow-up gank here from Umpty. And Deft is caught here by Rakan. Super aggressive positioning here that is punished now. Another kill going over the side of Fred Brion, so Henna's picking up money here. He's now 1-1 and 3. Did, of course, die in that level 1 exchange, but now has a kill and 3 assists worth of extra money. Picked up an early tier, has double longsword. This bottom side is free for Fred Brion, whereas otherwise the Ezreal Karma could have been a big issue for them trying to find power here. Yeah. Just no longer going to be the case. Well, I mean, it still could theoretically work, but yeah, it's definitely dangerous times here for DRX, as Juhan just throwing around some Hex Flashes, having a good time. Beryl tidying up some wards while he can, as Umpty is rotating down towards this bottom side, looking for his Krug camp after he finishes off those wolves, and will once again be there to punish a flashless Deft. This time he does have Arcane Shift, so he should be okay. Right now, 1v2 here in this lane, and it's going to have to be a huge, like,
I know it's Ezreal, right, and so this sounds a bit on the nose, but it's going to have to be a true display of skill here for DRX to pull themselves back into this game.
It really is. And for Zeka, you know, he's going to have to stave off the pressure. He's doing a great job of it so far. You know, it's not his laning issue that has led to this lead here for Lava, but it's an issue he's going to have to face regardless. Obviously, on the top side of the map here, Kingen picked up a kill and is going to be able to continue to win this top side matchup. So if the resources for Umpty are put topside to try to punish the Gangplank, that's a great opportunity for Deft and Beryl to get back into this. I just don't think that's going to be the case. So Kingen needs to push that topside lead very hard. They will come over here, clear this ward. The Dragon is spawning in 10. They have some extra prio here. And it looks like they were considering it here with that ward clear, but will not actually fully commit without knowing where Juhan is.
Yeah.
And you can see so many resources still, though, like, for DRX here are not really, like, they had the power to try to push in bottom side, not really easily done anymore. Juhan could have also tried to duel and put pressure down there. Not so much the case anymore, and we'll see if, you know, Morgan could just play weak side Gnar, because that's another thing about Gnar, even in matchups like this, where he's so powerful right now because he can do a lot of things. He can win against tanks, he can actually push lanes, he can, of course, take plates out, but he can also play an extremely strong weak side, where he's unkillable, ungankable, and that might just be in Morgan's game here in Game 1, and that's okay. That's the versatility of Gnar.
Yep, and it's also the versatility of Morgan as well. We know that this guy is a fantastic punching bag. He's done it on almost any champion, and you mentioned playing weak side. That has certainly been his MO ever since Halma Life eSports made that run to Worlds last year, largely to do with him playing a lot of weak side Camille in that moment. As Morgan's going to push this wave towards the turret. No demolish this time around for the Gnar. Gone with the fleet footwork that we've seen raised to prevalence here for a lot of our Gnars. As Kingen's just a bit frustrated about this little Gnar underneath his turret, as Beryl is going to tether himself to Delight. Delight puts down his control ward pretty happily here. As barrels are through. Okay, Juhan looking to move in, but Grand Entrance going to be used as an escape tool quite nicely. As Morgan takes a turret shot, probably didn't want to do that. As Kingen does have his flashback, which is definitely good.
Still trading really nicely here and trying to grab that plate. He's so close to it. So Juhan pathed bottom, hoping that they would actually have a contest possible for this Drake. And this was spotted, of course, by Fred Brion. They identify this, so Morgan pushes topside really hard in a matchup that is difficult to do so, and it's tough for Kingen to actually fight back here. You know, didn't get the flashback, etc., like you mentioned at the last possible moments there, but they don't actually make a bottom side play. They end up losing Drake, and now topside control is completely in Morgan's favor. Plate does go into his pocket. He's got 3 assists worth of money. Like, everything is going extremely well here for Fred Brion, and fortunately, Juhan just hasn't been able to make an impact in this game. And level 6 coming up soon for Umpty. Lava will have his pick of the litter in terms of ultimates. The Cannon Barrage is going to be the big one here for this first Rift Herald fight. And if DRX can't find an angle here, they better be hoping that at least Henna and Delight rotate up so that Def can pick up some plates. Because if they just stay bottom side, and we have that bottom side 2v2, I think Fred Brion still win the top side fight here and just continue to push their lead.
Yeah. It's working out so far. Very interesting that Henna has decided to go towards the lethality build on their Xayah, going for a little bit more of that burst damage rather than the crit variety. I've been pretty vocal about not liking the build very much. However, we'll see how it's going to go. As does do a lot more in the earlier stages of the game. Is now Henna going to take a Mystic shot, but otherwise doing fine here in this lane.
I think as soon as you get that much gold early, you're like, all right, well, I want to keep this advantage forever, and so you're going to build the early Dirk. They grabbed, 2 Longsword and Tier from the, first initial pick there that he picks up onto depth, and so he's just trying to continually control this lane so that he can stay down here. Like, if he has this much pressure and power in this lane, they can turn the Rift Herald fight into a 3v3 that's kind of unlosable for them with the Wukong, with the Sylas, and Gnar, who have an advantage topside. So I like this for controlling the early pace of the game.
It's
and
interesting.
Look at Beryl's health bar.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, though, because he's taken the Aerie, right? He was committed to this before that level 1 worked, but I think that the level 1, like you say, is one of the reasons why it's kind of all right that he went for this, as Beryl almost just dies walking towards Fred Brion, but he's going to go for a back, and he should be all right, as Umpty and Lava should be able to take down Shelly here. Juhan is waiting for a Sylas that is behind him on vision. Puts that control ward down. Let's see whether Juhan can actually challenge for this one as the ulti comes through. Good flash out, but the Steadfast Presence going to avoid Umpty coming back in. He just secures himself. The Rift Herald is now Lava with perfect execution in hand. Is going to dash after the Poppy. Zeka over the wall. Oh man, he was ready to punish, but not going to take the bait is Fred Brion, and they'll take themselves the Rift Herald and just move on out.
Fred Brion really know exactly how the lead they have is going to work, and so they keep the pressure on bottom lane, only rotate up the light. As okay, Kingen, you are very far forward, my friend.
Yeah, Hop comes down. All right, he's going to flash towards his barrel. It's not going to do anything for him as he eats some oranges, but is still going to die. Umpty not back into that cannon barrage, but isn't going to die to the turret either, and that's a very comfy kill. They could also now just drop the Rift Herald if they want, but Umpty wants to take the Empowered back for a little while longer, and there is a lot of duration on that one still left to go.
Yeah. And they have so much control over the game, they don't need to grab extra money right now because they've got it in all 3 lanes. So yeah, it's like, we're not going to kill a turret, so might as well hold on to that one and get some more power in the jungle. Delight wasn't here on the bottom side, but as you can see, Deft was not able to put any pressure on the plate. As, okay.
Chains, shurikens, things thrown around here in the mid lane, but just testing the waters.
The flash from Umpty on the Rift Herald fight to avoid Juhan there was the MVP moment, because that's all they needed to do to make sure this is their Herald. As we're going to go back to Kingen here, just being very far up in the lane. Has Cannon Barrage, so feels like he's safe, but he flashed earlier, so doesn't have that available. Or, okay, that was just a bug on the cooldown. I was like, I thought he had flash. Yeah, he did, but it's not enough to save him. And Cyclone is a pretty strong ability when you're basically trying to free hit a turret when you have no control over the lane. So Kingen's now 2 deaths in this game, and man, things are really off the rails here for DRX. Like, this comp's win conditions just need more time, and they're just not being given it.
And the way that it was supposed to work just is completely out the window, considering that level 1, right? Like, this bottom lane was supposed to have so much laning power. That didn't actually eventuate whatsoever because Henna had so much more money at the beginning of the game. Lava over here, just protecting Umpty, who's taking this second Drake of the game. He'll connect some chains, and it looks like this Hex Tech belongs to Fred Brion. DRX not feeling ready to fight for any of these right now, as Deft completes his Essence Reaver. See what build he's going to go for here. It's looking like the Mythicless start here at the beginning, as we've seen a fair few Trinity Forces recently put together, but this time around not going to happen, as it's going to be an Infernal Soul. As man, Fred Brion, this is absolutely perfect, because if there is a way to empower Lethality Xayah, it's with a Drake that can help you snowball so effectively. And with an Infernal Soul, that will certainly increase the relevance of this Lethality Xayah.
And the damage that this comp will need later on to Kingen, you gotta be careful about trading aggressive like this. Like, yes, this is a good matchup for these types of trades, but when you're ahead, not when you are behind, and when your jungler is nowhere nearby, and you have no idea where Umpty is. There's a control word here for Morgan, so like, Kingen, if he goes forward here, could be walking into his death, so he has to respect that. As at least we'll dodge this boomerang here. The Hyper Proc's not going to go off, but man, like, look at the gold here across every lane. The only lane that is going towards DRX is, of course, Zeka. And that's even with Lava picking up 2 kills. So he's holding his own here, but at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is DRX doesn't even have 2 Drakes or even a single Drake of buffer to buy time for the Ezreal range issue to become a factor here. So Fred Brion also have just played their early game so well, controlling bottom side, not sending the bottom laner up, not losing any plates to Deft, they're not giving him any angles, giving him any plates, not taking any poor fights, just controlling the fights by zoning. And now we're finally going to, at the final moments here, drop this Rift Herald just before Blades fade.
But Juhan is here, so the Poppy Copter is available. We'll see whether he's going to get rid of this. No, he's not going to. So DRX just going to have to like clear out the minions where they can, but that plate goal goes over to Fred Brion. Juhan had the ult, but he just decided not to throw it down.
Yeah, which is kind of puzzling. The whole point of him rotating up there was definitely to do that, but I guess he felt like he didn't have the angle he needed and was scared of the damage at this stage. But yeah, I definitely would have probably wanted to see that one placed, especially because there's no objective fight coming up here for at least another minute and a half. So would have had it back off of cooldown.
Yeah, okay, well, here's a bit of a fight. It's Juhan chasing after Morgan. There's the cannon barrage. Morgan wants another hop, but he's not going to get it. There's the flash that comes through. Guys? What happened?
Okay, well, gets the speed up, and he's out of there. They just do not commit. They thought it's a done deal. It is not. Nargit's going to get that speed up. He has the Hearthbound Axe, or whatever it's called, that gives movement speed with auto attacks, and that's all he needs. He gets out. This is a disaster.
Storm. All right. Okay, Beryl taking a fair bit of damage here, but is going to tether to Henna. Battle Dance gets delayed over here. There's a decent little push there from Frederick. Yeah, that seemed like massive miscommunication there. I thought Kingen was like, Juhan, you just like finish him off, take the kill, and Kingen backs away. That parlay would have been back up and would have been pretty close to lethal, but still.
Yeah, Kingen had flash. I mean, that's a punish gone completely wrong, so they don't stop the Rift Herald. They don't get that kill, as the observers are showing us what Lava can't see, which is the entirety of the bottom side here around the Drake. Umpty wrapped around. And this is going to be a big group up here for DRX, but there's no objective to fight over, so I just don't think this is wise to heavily commit into this choke point, especially against Cyclone. Just going to have to walk away, Def. You have no angle here.
Yeah, and also, why would they be there? It's a minute and a half before the Drake, so no real reason to fight for that one. As Morgan just going to take down this turret and then chase after Kingen. Barrel for a bit of zoning, but unable to put another one down to get any sort of chain. And yeah, Morgan is just in such a good spot in this lane. Umpty going to take the second Rift Herald as well.
I guarantee you that if Pioshik was in this game, there would be a lot more attention to Deft and Beryl from the Poppy, you know, given the same draft. I also think Pioshik would have approached that level 1 a little bit more safely and with the rest of his team. And because Juhan didn't really hard commit to saving the bottom side and also left Kingen out to dry until the very last moments there where they failed the gank, they do not stop the Rift Herald. Morgan is able to, in this blind Gnar pick here, where they of course had the Stylist to kind of set that up so that, you know, DRX wouldn't have the opportunity to pick it themselves, into the Gangplank, gets a whole turret. With the extra gold he picked up at the level 1, he is just rolling in money right now. He's about to finish his call. He's backing before he does because he's just like, well, I just don't even need that extra money. 20 seconds until this Drake spawns, and Reddit Breon have the better team fight right now.
Well, Juhan is just going to get a bit of poke damage onto Delight here from that heroic charge, as well as his steadfast presence to deny any sort of dashes. Of course, Poppy, fantastic into this Rakan if these team fights do start breaking out, is Deft in the mid lane, trying to do what he can. So, Shirley will come down in the mid lane to get some control of this river. DRX going to have to use some resources in order to take her down, and Frederick Breon are going to be diving forward. Okay, Lava finds Beryl. 50% of his health bar does go down. Mantra up that W if he wants to get a bit of the health back, but Shirley is going to cram her skull into the outer turret in the mid lane, unable to take it down, but at least gets the priority that Frederick Breon are looking for to try and get to this soul point.
Zeka has an angle, but there's no weak targets for him to assassinate. Knows the positioning here of Umpty and Morgan, expecting his flank angle here. This ward is about to fade, the Rift Scuttle. Yeah. So just no vision here, no information. Zeka's taking the long way around, but it's going to take so long.
Yeah, well, into the pit goes Juhan, but the smite is the fadeaway. Umpty was able to avoid it there with the Warrior Trickster as Cannon Barrage has come through. But it's too little, too late. And Frederick Breon, they can get out if they want to, they can fight if they want to, they can do whatever they would like.
This was just such a masterclass of tempo advantages for Frederick Breon.
Well, there's another Cannon Barrage. This time it's going to spell the end of Deft. He can't even land the Mystic Shot towards the end there, as now Beryl is wrapping around. No more barrels to come through here, as now Zeka diving towards Morgan where he can. Gets a nice little backflip. Perfect execution going to be available for that second time around, but he can't actually use it for any sort of damage or execution. And DRX, I mean, they're just still licking their wounds from that level 1. They've never been able to get back the tempo.
They really have not. And every single one of these critical objective fights where Juhan is trying to punch Umpty out, as we're going to go straight back to this pick on the Depth. This is the power of Silas in the Gangplank. Just such a critical AoE ultimate to help zone and pick off targets. Henna and Lava keep Kingen and Juhan away, but Juhan failed to get the Rift Herald knock away because of the flash. This time it's the Warrior Trickster you mentioned from Umpty, where he is able to avoid it and smite the Drake away. And this Poppy pick has been completely worthless, died at level 1. And look, I'm all for trying new things and Juhan being a part of this team. Like, I think it's a good change here potentially for DRX, but the individual performance we've seen from him this game, where he's just been shut down at every turn by Umpty, This is the kind of game, and I very rarely say this, I'm usually extremely against it, but this is the kind of game where I'm like, it might be time to sub Pyosik again in game 2, because I think this Poppy pick that was prioritized so highly is not getting value, and as you pointed out very early on in this game, like, this is Pyosik's best pick this season.
Yeah.
And it just feels like you can feel the difference here, unfortunately, in this game, and with the lead that Fred and Brion have and how beautifully they've played around just forcing advantages here, you know, DRX are in a lot of trouble, and it's not over yet because they do have a lot of scaling aspects here, but both the Ezreal and the Gangplank have been so shut down that that aspect is not coming in for another 10 minutes.
Well, that's a heroic charge. Delight going to be able to get out of there. He just waits out the Steadfast presence. Cannon Barrage not going to be able to take down Delight, who's running real quick. Oh, True Shot Barrage! It's going to break a stopwatch, but it wasn't going to kill Delight anyway. As Deft is going to get that as a consolation prize, I guess.
Delight's face as well in that moment. You could tell he was like, okay, better safe than sorry, but like, I knew I didn't need to break that, but hey, like I said, better safe than sorry. As Lava's going to get a turret down here bottom side. And unfortunately, the one attempt here for DRX to look for a flashy play gets a stopwatch, but that is all they're going to get. And in fact, they have no vision here whatsoever. They will see this with the trinket, and that's going to be enough to say, okay, we should play back out.
Yep.
For Fred at Brion. But I mean, the vision control they have right now, the teleport advantage they have 2 teleports up. It's just 100% a great start. Like, and backing away is fine, but that was a no-risk play from Fred at Brion.
No, you may as well test the waters and see whether you can, you know, trinket cooldown is actually pretty valuable as well. And they may as well go for a Baron play if they would like to. Umpty's still lying in wait. Gonna get spotted here by Juhan. Steadfast presence is good. He's able to speed himself up and get away. True Shot Barrage onto Hannah. There's the Mantrid Q as well. So DRX able to at least poke out the Xayah, who hasn't really been able to do too much since the level 1, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean, she stayed in lane and helped them get the first Herald, but yeah, otherwise hasn't really been involved literally in any kills since that first pick on the Deft and the level 1. So yeah, it hasn't been the greatest, but the way that DRX wins this game is through Deft and Zeka, but mostly Deft. And Deft, Zeft in this case, so Zeka can flank and threaten. Hannah and Delight push them away, and then Deft, while that is happening, will have to be hitting Mystic shots and poking away at Lava, at Umpty, and at Morgan, try to bait out the Narbar.
Oh dear,
Zeka.
Okay, yeah, Zeka going to get engaged on. Perfect execution comes through. It's going to be the Ignite used defensively here from Zeka to just Lava, try and convince Lava to leave.
Yeah, Lava is going to have a shorter cooldown on his hijack and only runs away because he knows that Juhan could be in the area, doesn't have vision of him, so still a better trade for them. But Deft is going to need to hit all of his abilities here and weaken this Gnar and try to play slow, try to, you know, outlast the Narbar in some of these upcoming fights. This is going to have to be the first of many, because this is Soul Point for Fred at Brion into Infernal Soul, 4-0 or 4-2-0 on Drakes if they don't win this fight. So it's now or never, Deft. You are gonna have to hit these shots, and you cannot walk away from this fight. You have to force it. 10 seconds to go. Zeka does not have prio, does not have ult. Like, this is just almost unwinnable here for DRX.
It's a real difficult one. They're gonna have to try and figure it out, though. As like you say, this Drake is, it's gonna be really difficult to get back. As Lava grabs himself that Cannon Barrage, barrel extraordinarily low, and DRX realize they just can't win the fight. So they're gonna have to give away Infernal Soul as True Shot Barrage tries its best, and Umpty actually flubs the smite there a little bit, but that was after the True Shot Barrage came through anyway. And so a very easy Infernal Soul here for Fred at Brion as they now push down the mid lane. They'll take that out of turret. We'll see what more they can get.
They can just go start Baron. They still have Morgan's teleport, and they can look for a kill onto Kingen. If they don't get it, they can still just wait for this wave and then start Baron on the other side. Kingen has teleport. Zeka, you know, not having his ultimate going into that fight and Deft being pushed away so significantly was what led to that free Drake fight, or if you could call it a fight, that is to say, where DRX had to just retreat and give it up. So once again, Lava finds an Akali in a side lane, forces her to ult, trades his hijack, forces an Ignite, walks away, and it's like, all right, cool. That's Drake for us. That's Infernal Soul. What are you going to do? And Deft can't be anywhere near the fight to hit that poke damage he needs so desperately. And like I said, put Gnar bottom lane, let him push, take a Baron. There's nothing DRX can do, and if Morgan manages his Narbar well, we can come in here and crush a fight if DRX ever think of challenging this. So they're just going to have to sit back again, give this objective up, and wait.
Yeah. Juan is going to be able to smite away the red buff. That was pretty optimistic from Henna, but his Blade Caller does do a fair bit of damage at this stage, as his last Whisper now completed. But as you can see, I mean, the gold lead did not extend very much after that level 1, but it really didn't need to, because Fred and Brian were able to grab as much control of the game as they needed in order to get themselves into a decent position now. And DRX's composition, I just don't think is going to be enough to try and claw their way back. Like, the comeback mechanics just aren't really enough here unless Fred and Brian makes a big mistake. And I think what Fred and Brian have done is done everything in order to avoid making a big mistake. That has been the game plan. It's like, just don't mess this up, boys. And we got this. And now with an Infernal Soul, it's going to be pretty tough to mess up.
It's crazy how Umpty flashing Juhan's ult and then trickstering the ult on that, you know, big third Drake fight. Like, those two plays, I think were, even though they look kind of non-consequential, are the ways that DRX could have been back in this game with a Herald, you know, steal away, or that Drake buffer would have given them a whole lot of extra time to get into position to fight. And Umpty just avoids it twice. He's like, I know how Poppy works. I know what you guys are trying to do. And that's just it. Like, DRX never even had any threats in this game otherwise besides the attempted Poppy ults. And Juhan is so significantly behind in this game, too. A chem tank that he can't really use. Like, who's he running at? Who's he trying to stop?
Well, that is a Keeper's Verdict used onto Deft. He is going to leave for the moment. Control Ward goes down from Fred Abraham, will instantly be removed. I think that was mainly Lava wanting a better ultimate. And he has a few better options here. He's level 14 though, so it's not like an instant cooldown, but it's still pretty fast at that stage, as you can see. Going to have it back up in a few seconds' time. So Umpty down to 50%. I mean, Deft still needs to be somewhat respected here for the damage that he's capable of doing. True Shot Barrage, I believe, didn't quite find too many targets. Kingen just eliminates the last minion. He's successfully holding onto this lane, but the amount of pressure here from Fred Brian and the fact that they're able to farm out all of DRX's jungle at will makes things real dangerous. These barrels are starting to do some work, but let's see what they can actually make happen here. As Umpty down relatively low, they get the cannon barrage, and that's what they were looking for. 2 minutes. I mean, and it's ticking down, Wolf. Like, Elder Drake is coming.
This could be like the fastest Elder Drake that Fred Brian ever starts in their career.
Yeah, right.
This is a pretty unusual Fred Brian game where they're actually playing super far ahead. But like, this is the things that we were talking about for Fred Brian and the wins they had against Damwon Kia in 2021, where Fred Brian gets a small lead and just never messes up and plays very oppressive. Morgan right now is wishing he went Demolish this game because he's been the side lane king with the advantages he was given that you don't normally get. As a Gnar in this matchup, he's like, oh man, I could have actually probably killed an inhibitor this game if I took Demolish with all the side laning I've been able to do for free. Looks like Fred Brian might finally actually start up Baron here, because Baron is going to be their best tool at guaranteeing that they have enough prio here to take this Elder Drake that spawns in 90, but they're setting up for a fight instead of starting the Herald, or rather Baron.
That was really interesting. Lava decided to steal a Mantra. It's not the greatest, as Umpty going to take a lot of damage here. Okay, he'll be forced to go back. That's going to buy a bit of time here for DRX. Nicely done. Fred Brian need to start making some plays, making things happen. I was commending them for, you know, playing it slow and steady, trying not to mess it up, but you also have to kill the enemy Nexus, guys, and that involves moving forward and finding yourselves some wins.
They had so many times where they could have, I think, done the Baron. Like, they have the damage at this stage. They had a Gnar pushing down that inner turret that DRX committed 5 people and a cannon barrage to defend. I think there were definitely some angles here for Fred Brian to actually grab Baron. And I was trying to argue the point that maybe they wanted to wait a little bit longer so they could make sure they could time it with Elder, but now Elder is just going to spawn. They still have prio without Baron.
Ooh, okay, Cannon Barrage comes down. It's going to be traded. Kingen is going to have to get himself over to the side. Lava goes golden. The barrel chain going to miss there as Lava does manage to escape. Barrel not going to be so lucky. Does have to flash to get out of the way of that grand entrance. No kills, but definitely a lot of buttons pressed, and it's going to be Fred Brian that managed to take the reward. This inner turret that they've been working on for a very long time.
Now they will have to attack an objective. Please do it, Fred.
Yeah, and they can just move to this one.
Yep, and now there's very few tools here. Kingen did have to use his Cannon Barrage. True Shot Barrage was
all
early
right,
here
this
for
Keeper's
Dev.
Verdict is going to have to be the best thing ever. They get rid of the Rakanus. Juhan not going to be able to lock down the Elder Drake, and the Dragon itself will destroy the Poppy. Now Morgan's diving forward, and he'll just obliterate this Karma. Kingen knocked up and taken down. And I think Fred and Breon have done it. They just waited it out. They're just, 6 minutes? All right, we'll take ourselves an Elder. And now Def feeling like the last man standing here as Zekka is nowhere near. The inner turret will be taken down, but Fred and Breon shouldn't be done here. They are just going to look for the Baron and then continue the push.
Exodia time.
Yeah.
Exodia time, and it is... it's been a lead for 30 minutes here that Fred and Breon have had, and they've played it passively, they played it slow. I think they definitely could have pulled the trigger on Baron takes earlier, but at the end of the day, Lava looks for a hard engage onto King and takes his Cannon Barrage away. And I don't mean with the hijack, he just forces King to use it defensively. It's a nice try from Def. And then there's just no real way to set up for a fight for DRX. This is just, once again, desperation here for DRX to try to look for this. Juhan trying to ult. And it doesn't matter. They just can't get in and do the damage. Like, it's a Poppy here trying to 50-50 this one away, and even if he steals it, you're not in a position to follow up. As look at this, no Cannon Barrage here on the gangplank. Kingen is just desperately trying to run in and help out. Is taken out as kind of an afterthought. And Fred and Breon, man, they're bringing us to a potential upset win here. You know, Valdez the Prophet. Maybe he saw this coming. But I very rarely say this, and I mentioned it earlier, but the performance we saw from Juhan here does, I think, warrant potentially a Pioshik sub going into map 2.
All right, so I've got something to say on that front. Like, this game was basically over at level 1. Like, I think that, like, a lot of people will agree. So I don't think Juhan's even been tested this game at all. Because, yeah, he face-checked, and but that's one mistake. Him walking into that brush. I really don't think that we've learned all that much at all, which is a bit sad.
I don't think he played the bottom matchup as well as he could have, and I think that he certainly was a little bit slow to rotate to objectives. I mean, look, it's hard to criticize him because of everything that happened at level 1, but I think Pioshik would have played this one out a lot differently, and that's all I can think about right now, because it's Poppy for DRX, and this is the crux of their comp, and just didn't do a whole lot.
The other thing is, it's first pick Silas, once again, not finding quite that much of an answer. It's only Chovy that's been able to do so, but there are hands involved in that particular question as well. It's now DRX having to deal with 2 of their inhibitors being down, and Fred and Breon wanting to say goodbye to this game. Close to 32 minutes in, Zekka is going to almost just die to a Cannon Barrage that this Silas put down. My goodness, the hijack version just doing so much damage here as DRX run out of turrets. Henna gets hit by a barrel, taking a fair bit of damage here as now you've got Zekka diving into the backline. He goes golden and will just be knocked up. Henna's actually able to get his revenge there, as well as Def does manage to buffer an arcane shift, but he will not be able to save his Nexus, and Fred and Breon will win game number 1 against DRX.